how did this notorious moment, Captain America saying "Hail Hydra," happen? Is it all as it appears? Our story begins in 1926 New York City in the Lower East Side. A husband yells at his wife while their young son, Stephen, watches. The woman begs her husband, Joseph, not to do this in front of Stephen, but Joseph wants to show his kid how a man handles business. Joseph backhands his wife right in front of his son. They're interrupted by a woman in a bright red scarf. She struts over with a smile. "Is everything all right? Your wife, I'll presume. She seems to have slipped." Her smile fades. "You should help her up." Joseph throws a punch at the woman, but she shocks him, catching his fist with ease. She twists Joseph's arm and throws him face first to the ground. Joseph scampers off in fear as the red scarf woman, Eliza Sinclair, introduces herself to Stephen's mom, Sarah Rogers. That was the moment in young Stephen's life that he realized any one of us can be a hero. A few decades later, that little boy, Captain America, bashes through a window with a new shield. He's on comms with Sharon Carter. Sharon explains to her colleagues back at S.H.I.E.L.D. that Hydra has taken over a train directed toward Penn Station with a bomb. Normally they'd disable it remotely, but Hydra's hackers beat them to the punch. Yeah, I get it. I'm the worst. That's Rick Jones, longtime friend of Cap and the fellow heroes, trying to crack through Hydra's defenses, cyber battling someone called Battlestar John Gallica. Back on the train, Cap bashes two goons in the teeth, throws another to the ground, and takes a punch to the face. Sharon hops back on the comms to ask him if he's found the bomb. Quite a bit in my way, but yeah, I see him. Back inside Cap's head, we flash back to the past. The origin of Robbie Dean Tomlin. The kid didn't have an easy life either, planting in front of the TV set, dreaming of better days while his parents shouted at each other. The poor kid turned to a life of crime, but wasn't very good at it. He joined white supremacists to protect him in jail. What followed was a life of addiction. Robbie found someone he loved, but that addiction killed her. Robbie then swore to get sober, attending NA meetings and following the programs. Life was getting better when his old cellmate called with an opportunity. "This guy's the real deal. He's talking about all the stuff we used to, taking our country back, getting rid of all this political correctness bull." Robbie went with his old friend to a rally hosted by none other than the Red Skull. The literal Nazi spewed the usual rhetoric to the audience. Refugees, political tolerance, and a corrupt government are taking over your countries. You need to fight to get it back. Robbie was never particularly concerned with politics or race. He'd only joined the white supremacists for protection. But after hearing that speech, he was a zealot. He cheered and chanted, happy to finally be a part of something. Some parts of joining Hydra were easy, like getting their symbol tattooed on his chest. Some parts were harder, like watching his friends beat a man to death just because he was black. But when Hydra asked him to strap a bomb to his chest and blow up a train, he was happy to give up his life in the name of something bigger than him. We flash back to the present, where Cap is battling more goons in an effort to reach Robbie and the bomb strapped onto him. Young up-and-comers Jack Flag and Free Spirit beat up the Hydra ops back at the base, while Sharon asks for an update from Steve. Cap bashes one more goon with his shield, then turns to see a train cab filled with unconscious bodies. That'll teach him to be disrespectful of the quiet car. Oh god, never tell another joke. At that moment, Rick has regained control of the train. The front car of the train detaches from the rest as they redirect it from a populated area. Sharon tells Cap to get out of there. Everyone else is free from the blast radius. Not everyone. At the train's controls, Cap reasons with a bawling Robbie, telling him that he doesn't have to die today. Through the tears, a sickening smile forms as Robbie lifts the bomb's trigger. He presses the button, exploding in a ball of fire. 5 hours later, Sharon puts a bandage on Steve's eyebrow, making fun of his inability to dodge punches. A few years ago, the villain Iron Nail drained him of the super soldier serum, causing him to rapidly age. Then a few years later, a little girl named Kobik, a manifestation of the cosmic cube, used her reality-altering abilities to grant him his powers and youth. Steve doesn't recognize himself anymore. Back in the 20th century, Eliza takes Steve's mom out to dinner. Eliza reveals that her husband is deceased. She never had a desire for kids. Your Steven is a delight, though. Off to the side, Steven plays with a dog as Eliza proclaims her belief that this child is destined to do great things. In the S.H.I.E.L.D. war room, Sharon walks in on Maria Hill, who praises Sharon for the successful train mission, which looked cool as hell on YouTube. A young man died, Hill. Sharon talks about Robbie's history of addiction, pointing to the correlation of youth unemployment and Hydra's recruitment numbers. Hill asks what better option they have. Steve walks in, interrupting the argument. Hill reveals some good news. We got him. They've tracked Baron Zemo, who was last seen at Pleasant Hill. the same event that led to Steve regaining his powers. Apparently, he has Dr. Eric Selvig prisoner. The war for the soul of Hydra begins now, and when it ends, Red Skull will kneel to his new masters. Joining Zemo on a distant rooftop are Firebrand, Plant Man, and Flying Tiger, 3 villains whose appearance is as ridiculous as their names.
I gotta be honest, I thought more people would show up.
While Zemo struggles to successfully rally these less than stellar troops, Cap swoops in beside Jack Flag and Free Spirit. The 3 villains attack the heroes, but Cap knows Zemo's moves. They are simply a distraction as Zemo makes his escape. Zemo jumps into a plane. As always, Cap pursues the villain. It ends now. For once, Captain, we agree. Zemo fires a gun at Cap, who quickly disarms him. The two exchange punches when Zemo suddenly opens the cargo drop. Jack Flag notices Cap dangling from the bottom of the plane as he battles Flying Tiger. Jack knocks out the villain, then leaps toward the plane. Zemo pulls out a sword, ready to slay his longtime enemy. But suddenly, Jack Flag decks him in the jaw, knocking the villain out cold. I gave you a direct order to assist Free Spirit.
Don't sweat it, she's good. Plus, you look like you could use some help.
Cap curses as he stands up. Everything okay, sir?
No, it isn't. I'm sorry, Jack.
Cap puts his hand on Jack's shoulder as we once again shoot to the past. Eliza walks Sarah home, asking if she'd like to join a civic league looking for new members. It's mostly talking about current events, looking for ways to help the community. Eliza hands Sarah a flyer with a familiar logo. Eliza is a part of Hydra.
I think you'll like what we have to say.
Back in the present, Cap thinks about the heroism Jack Flag just showed. He saw someone in need and stepped in.
That is why he deserved so much more than this.
Captain America threw Jack Flag, the hero, out of the plane and to his death.
Hail Hydra.
We cut back to years ago, where Captain America is battling with the Red Skull for the Cosmic Cube. Red Skull reaches for it, but Cap throws his shield and slices right through Red Skull's arm. The shield makes contact with the cube, leaving behind shards. Eventually, the shards explode in a shield lab, leaving behind a young girl. A little bit later, Maria Hill tries to get Selvig to work full-time with S.H.I.E.L.D. on the Kobik Initiative. Selvig's mind is blown. He knew the Cosmic Cube could become sentient, but this? Creating living beings? At that moment, we watch 6 people in serving uniforms hold guns to their chins and pull the trigger. They fall lifeless on the table, where Red Skull complains of his boredom. He tells his daughter Sin about his recent powers, those of Charles Xavier, the world's strongest telepath. I yearn for conquest, but only receive submission. Sin's new plan for Hydra, mind-controlled armies taking over the world, is so uninspired. All he wants to do is break Steve Rogers' soul. Out of nowhere, a child appears. It's Kobik in human form. Red Skull quickly tells his guard to kill the intruder. It's only a child, which means you must aim lower. The bullets do nothing to the cosmic child. Kobik notices Sin's deformed red face. Kobik lifts her hand and heals Sin's face. Kobik tells Red Skull that when she was little, Red Skull was nice to her. They made a whole world together. Captain America was there was a war, and then she got broken. The Cosmic Cube? My cube? Red Skull bends down and tells the child that he will be her friend. Later, Red Skull reads the child a bedtime story, what appears to be the Hydra Manifesto, as she snuggles a stuffed serpent monster. Red Skull asks what's going on at S.H.I.E.L.D. Kobik says they know nothing, but wonders why they don't just join Hydra. You're more right than you know, little one, but for now, we must wait and keep our secret. I don't tell nobody about you or Hydra until you're ready. Then big surprise party! Nobody knows what me and Dr. Selvig are doing. Who? Kobik grabs Red Skull's hand and the two vanish, appearing at S.H.I.E.L.D. Selvig walks in and immediately bows. Red Skull reads Selvig's mind with his new powers. He sees memories that shouldn't exist of Selvig working all his life with Hydra, implanted there by Kobik. I think so. I like fixing people. Making them Hydra makes them even better than ever. Red Skull begins to plot. He might have a way to overcome his boredom and defeat his enemy. He tells Selvig to give his S.H.I.E.L.D. superiors an idea for how to use Kobik. A prison at Pleasant Hill, where the child creates realities for criminals that make them into complicit drones. We flash through the events at Pleasant Hill. Zemo creates an insurrection, and old Steve Rogers comes to save the day. Red Skull disguised himself among the prisoners at Pleasant Hill as Father Patrick. He got close enough to Zemo to manipulate his thoughts. Under Red Skull's control, Zemo allowed an injured Rogers to seek medical attention under Father Patrick. Red Skull, as Father Patrick, brought Cap to Selvig, where he met Kobik. After Cap was released, He ran into Crossbones, who beat him within half an inch of his life, but the child, Kobik, would of course intervene. She will make him strong again, young again. She will consider the greatest gift of them all. She will make him Hydra. Kobik reached out her hand and healed him, restored his super soldier serum. Cap grabbed the shield from Crossbones' hands and knocked him out. An easy feat for a super soldier. Bucky and Sam Wilson rushed to his side. When your friends lie dead around you, when all you once fought for is turned to a pile of ash, you will kneel before me and speak the words, Hail Hydra.